And we're back. We've got some more callers on the line. Let's get to some of those callers.
Let's go to David.
Let's go to David. All right, David, what's your comment?
My comment is on that. First, what's the minimum age you could be charged with murder for a child in Michigan?
I want to say it's 13 or 14.
Okay, you code under that. Okay, now you can be charged. Okay, second, the parents, as far as them charging them, I don't think the prosecutor should pursue that. As far as the weapon, the father purchased the gun. The gun was in the house, apparently. The boy took it out of the house, took it to school, put it in his backpack, and committed the murder. He committed the murder, the teenager. Prosecute him. Prosecute him for murder. And what is the terrorism charge? Isn't that a federal charge?
No, it's a state charge.
Okay. Terrorism.
Yes.
How are you gonna? We got to find out what is the definition for the state fire as terrorism. I mean, because we know on the federal, it's usually if you got a weapon, a mass destruction, you kill a large number of people, you can be charged with terrorism.
Okay.
For people, does that fall? I don't think that falls under terrorism. Because there's plenty of people killed throughout Michigan that more than one person, and the other these individuals have been charged with terrorism.
Okay.
They're becoming overzealous with this because the first thing that law enforcement did was raid the parents' home. And then they come out with all these long rifles. No, you shouldn't have did that, law enforcement. You got the good weapons the boy committed the murders with.
Okay, let me say this to you. Let me say this to you.
Okay.
You can be 14 years old and charged as an adult. Let me explain what the 2002 anti-terrorism law in Michigan defines a terroristic act as one intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or to affect the conduct of government through intimidation or coercion. Okay? What they're saying is that these children were running, they were screaming, he was firing, okay? And they were ducking, they were trying to save their lives, going under desks, etc. What they're doing is saying is that when you look at the facts, are these enough to allege being charged with that crime when you intend to intimidate or coerce a civilian population with the act of a weapon in this manner? So when you had him pulling it out, he shoots one person, everybody's screaming, running, he's shooting through the air. Could that be? Not is it beyond a reasonable doubt? Could it be? And is there reasonable belief to believe that looking at those facts, it could warrant the charge of terrorism? And I think absolutely it could. Because of the acts of this. This is not the same as a person going into a home and shooting a person. This is different. This is when a person, say you going through a mall and you just shooting up everybody and they running and hiding and screaming and hollering. Then what you doing is you are making that environment extremely hostile, and you are scaring and intimidating and using that gun to follow through with your act, which is causing them to be frightful. And you can glean that it was his intent to be coercive by the use of this gun in a mass setting like that. It wasn't he went in there and just tried to pop off these 4 people. That's not what he did. He went through the school shooting. So therefore, that's what they're doing. Go ahead.
Situation in Detroit where people were shooting at hot class and multiple people were shot, and no terrorism charges.
Was that prior to 2002?
Okay.
That was prior to 2002? What year was that?
That was prior to 2000. That was in the '90s.
Okay. May I share? This is the state's 2002 anti-terrorism law was in effect then. You can't say what happened back when horse and buggy. Okay? We can't go back like that. It was not applicable. Had it been applicable, that person would have been charged as well. Okay?
Right. But the gun charges that they're trying to get against parents, that attorney, that defense attorney, he gonna get that thrown out. By the time in 6 months when we go to trial, that's gonna be thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
And those parents, I believe, they're gonna be released. Because you have to focus on the person who committed the crime. It's the 15-year-old.
Let me explain something. May I share? There's a law called, or a theory called, aiding and abetting. And if you give someone encouragement, help, and you know what they're going to do or is likely, okay, then you can be charged as an aider and abetter. What they're saying is this: you made the gun accessible, you contributed to it, you allowed him, you was on social media, this my girl calling the gun, this my baby, etc., etc. You left it unattended. I don't know whether or not, and I bet it'll come out, there was no gun locks. They probably, the box, wherever they may have found, there are no gun locks that were there. You cannot leave guns out where they're readily accessible for young people to get a hold of them. As a result, your conduct contributed to that because of the high level of reckless disregard that you had in just laying it out. If I come in there, that's just like, we've seen situations where parents are doing drugs. They might be doing fentanyl, they might be doing crack, and a child get a hold of it. And that child may overdose. They charge the parent. Why? Because they allowed it to be out open, accessible for the child to get. And as a result, it's so reckless and it contributed to their death that then they can charge and can be convicted. So this is not the first time parents have been charged with involuntary manslaughter when it comes to the reckless behavior of leaving drugs, guns out, etc. Okay?
And the prosecution want to have to prove that recklessness.
Baby.
They can't prove, because now people are talking about, it was the kid's gun. No, it wasn't the kid's gun. The father purchased the gun.
But the father purchased the gun, but what they're going to probably find when they went into the house on a search warrant, if it is in fact there were no gun locks that were there. There were no gun locks.
Okay, but they can't prove that now because all you saw was the rifles coming out of the house.
Mm-hmm. But we don't know what they took and they put in evidence because they have to seal them up in evidence tags. So they're like envelopes. We don't know what was in there. But thank you for your comment. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Do we have Rick on the line?
Hey, good afternoon, Judge. You know, every time I hear the conversation around this, it impels me to raise something that always happens to us on the bottom of those among the general population. And that's this idea that somehow you can tell a parent, you can call a principal, you can call a dean, or you can call a police, or you can call a social worker, and they're going to make things happen. You know, that's kind of like what they're trying to do with parents in relationship to some of these school shootings. It's the same message they're giving in mental health, right?
Yes.
If you see somebody and it doesn't look right, or you think they have challenges, and so what we're doing, without giving a lot of consideration to it, is that chain of custody for those claims, right? In this case of the Oxford school,
really a lot of reporting has been done. And people are getting away from that as they focus on the perpetrator and the parents. But there was a chain there that should have been in place. And not just there, same thing, MSU, same thing at places all over when, it gets to these kinds of issues. Now, if they're not going to do anything, and you say, well, the kid has an AR-15 or, a bag of poison, see, they're certainly not going to do much, especially if you don't know what they're going to do when you tell them, I think I saw that kid with a bag of poison. They're going to say, well, did you see? Well, no, I think I saw it, but I'm not perfectly sure. Those are the earliest points of intervention, the places where a lot of the stuff would make the most difference. And one of the things that I have not heard them set up in these situations conveniently is a designated person, that pipeline, organizing the pipeline or the chain of custody for those incoming claims that people make. You can't just have it going to the secretary or one over here or somebody that's in a job that does not and has not laid out a plan for how they're going to shape that information and pass it on, because people do shape information. Now, you know me from Masonry.com, and I bring that up because the way information is formatted, what happened to you, what would you like to see happen, and how you think others can help. First off, it's an easy read for whoever's receiving it, and it gives the person giving the report a chance to sign off, and this allows the person receiving it from making a lot of alterations, right? And so it's about moving it to the right place so that decisions can be made or actions taken. And they never talk about that. They give us this false sense that, they're there, but we see no resemblance of anybody, any structure in terms of institutions being in place to handle this stuff.
Unfortunately, that's your right.
They're selling it again now.
But here's the situation. Here's the situation. People want to believe that schools are magical places. The parenting belongs to the parents and the discipline. When you send a child there, magically, they're not going to learn to behave. Magically, they're not going to understand boundaries. Magically, they're not going to know things that the parents should have instilled in their children. And then the parents want to say, well, it's the school's fault. It's not mine. Well, the school is not a magical place. It is a place for learning, not a place to raise your children, not a place to discipline your children, but a place to teach your children. And we're putting too much emphasis. These parents were not doing their job. Here are parents who find out that there is an allegation this serious, and they leave the school premises without their child. How you think that made that boy feel? Like, damn, my parents don't even care about me. They leave. We'll be back. Callers, please hold on. We're going to get to you. Thank you so much for your comment.